What up, YouTube? You already know it's your boy, the Latin assassin himself, Big Lou, tapping back in with what it do with Big Lou and MCR2. Baby, baby. Ain't that right, little Lou? Yep. Anyhow, we're going to get into it. It's going to be a short video. I have another one to be dropping. I apologize, everybody, for not dropping videos. I've been sabotaging myself and the channel because I was on a roll. The numbers were going up, as far as the analytic numbers, and by taking this break, and it wasn't a break that I specifically took. It just, I wasn't feeling it, going through certain things, and I just wasn't feeling it. And also work and the hours and all the drive was just kicking my ass. But nonetheless, so this video, as always, I give the usual spills. The first time you're coming to the channel, be highly appreciated if you sub, like, to share the channel here at What It Do with Big Lou. NFZR2, right? With your family, friends, folks, peoples, gentes, buddy, pals, amigos, amicos, and like us, Puerto Ricanos, Boricuas, Jibaritos, Portorros, Ricans, PRs, say panas. Vaya. So this is not a video, definitely not an attack on anybody, definitely not shit talking video, because I don't do that. This is just a somewhat piggyback off what was said in the video, and also say that it was a good video, and it was very informative for a lot of people that weren't aware of history and the circumstances involved with that. So that was the video that a certain channel did overseas, over the pond, about another content creator, history of being a government cooperating witness, and the fact that he helped put away, like, I believe it was 80 something guys, testified in many trials over a period of time, and he was compared to the most famous government cooperating witness that put away a big name, and the U.S. government was willing to make a deal with the devil. That's what I always say. That's how I call it. In order to put a certain somebody away that was, in their opinion, and many people's opinion, that he was, thumbing his nose at the government, or however you want to say that, mocking the government. He kept beating them, right? And he had the name of the Teflon, right? Uh, and uh, and so basically, what I'm here to say is that, people that never is, they've never really done time, and they don't know the system, how things work as far as the judicial system, right? Court system on the state level, the federal level. It's pretty similar, but they have different wordings for different things. And then also some of the laws are different when it comes to federal and state. And what I mean by that is, like, your right to a speedy trial, your right to, take on witnesses and people, your accusers, stuff like that. A proper amount of time that you have for this or that. It's a lot different in the feds, and it's more, in my opinion, it's favored in the prosecutions, and it's favored in that for them, to win. Not only do they have unlimited resources, the federal government, they also, like I said, when it comes time to, like, getting your discovery and things such as that, they can pretty much hold it all the way up until, I'm not sure the exact time frame, but pretty close to trial start, which, it's common sense that shouldn't be allowed. It's not even right, because how can your defense team even come up with a proper defense, a proper strategy to, take on your accusers and the government's case, right? And so, if you guys are not aware, your discovery will have anything in there that got to do with the case. Witness list, who's made statements against you, or just statements in general. Anybody that's talked to the cops during the investigation, anything that was dropped to them, any type of information, also pictures, surveillance, audio, bugs, wiretaps, anything that was heard and recorded, documented into transcripts. You can get all the transcripts. Like I said, the witness list, anything they discover when they arrest you, anything that they end up, taking pictures of and try to put it into the case, um, all that stuff. So basically, just anything they got against you. Another thing I want to make clear, because sometimes when these people, read things, they don't really even understand what's going on. They understand what they're reading there, but like when it comes to a 302, nothing is documented. Like there's no recording of me. Like say if I was to sit down and sit down with the feds and I'm telling them everything I've been involved with, anything that I know on murders, anything this or that, or whatever I'm telling them. There's an agent that's sitting there that's jotting everything down, and they're writing down how they interpret it, their interpretation of what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing that's recording you that actually picks up what you're saying too. So a lot of times, what probably could happen, because everybody's comprehension ain't the same. Uh, they could be jotting down things how they interpreted what you said, things such as that, right? And then you have the fact that, nothing's recorded, nothing's documented. So, when you're involved in that life, you're never supposed to sit down with the government. Even if you get subpoenaed to go to court, you're supposed to not talk at all, or you say, I plead the fifth, and you're supposed to take that on the chin. If they give you a contempt of court and give you, say, 6 months in jail, a year in jail, whatever they give you, you're just supposed to take it. That's how that goes. You're not supposed to indulge in any type of fraternizing back and forth or answering questions or anything like that, right? So that's one thing. Another thing is that I want to talk about is like when people read. This is a misconception here too. If you get indicted, say you get indicted like that Old Bridge indictment, right? For example, there was many guys that got picked up in that, right? So say there's 100 guys that get picked up in a case, a conspiracy case, and with a bunch of counts, maybe some of it's superseding indictments, whatever, right? But there's a total of 100 uh, defendants and co-defendants on that case, right? Just because we're on the same case together doesn't mean we know each other, right? But somehow the government tied you and that individual to whatever's going on, whatever the case may be, right? And the reason I say that, because I seen a cat that's from California. He's an older man, and he came on a podcast, and he's showing, his indictment, and he's showing the defendants on the indictment, and he's trying to prove that he knew a certain old man that passed away a couple years ago, that was a legend in the game, right? New York, from one of those families, and he recently passed away. He got out of federal prison he was 100 years old, and his son is still on the internet to this date, right? Okay, so because of whatever his son's saying, that him and his father really didn't have a relationship or something like that. So this guy's trying to prove that, no, I knew his dad. I know him. We done business. We did it. So he shows that he's indicted along with them. So he's asking the guys of this podcast, read these names. And so one of the guys reads the guy's name, and he goes, what does that say? Yeah, yeah. So they're indicted under the same indictment, but that doesn't mean they know each other. Now, Ryan Leone, who's another content creator, he passed away recently. He was explaining that he got indicted under this whatever family cartel it was. I don't remember the last name, and he was on there with like a bunch of guys. He didn't know any of them, but yet they're on the same indictment. So hopefully you guys understand what I'm saying about that. Just because they're under the same paperwork doesn't mean you necessarily know each other. But somehow you guys were tied in together. You know what I'm saying? Another thing is, when I was mentioning your Discovery Pact earlier, everybody's gonna go on everybody. If you are a witness for any reason, or you gave a statement and it's been documented by the agency, right? The law enforcement agency, it's going to be in the Discovery Pact. So say you have a defendant, co-defendants, right? You're going to get you're going to have most likely everybody's witness list. And so what they tend to do is they he made this clear, right? And I don't see that he has any reason to lie about this. The Scars said that, a lot of those guys he didn't even know on their list. And some guys like Frankie, George DeChico, he was married into the family. That's Frankie DeChico's uncle, Georgie DeChico. He said that, they would ask him, oh, like, something like, oh, what's his position in the family? Oh, he's a soldier. Oh, he's an associate. He's a captain. And that was the furthest to that. Or they would ask him something from years back. Oh, yeah, I met him in 1985. At that time, he was an associate. But then later on, he became whatever he became, right? So you got a lot of that going on, and it gets misunderstood as something being active or something that was actually something that was actually said on his part about somebody, or like they said that he was responsible for locking up 80 people. Another thing that people don't seem to know, and I'm not saying no nothing on their part, but they do not realize that back then when that little devil made that deal with the government, that little dude from Brooklyn, right? He was able to pick and choose of who he wanted to rat on. So he didn't rat on anybody from his crew, right? And he was able to do that. Okay, well, fast forward it, he ends up getting busted for a pill case or whatever, and gets broke off by this. I believe he got time by the state of Arizona and the federal government. He had nothing to give them. It was all, he already gave them everything he had before, and then they give him this sweet deal: 19 murders, 5 years, and it wasn't even really 5 years in prison. It was 5 years at the Quantico, headquarters, FBI headquarters, where he was in a bungalow or a little, a little like condo type deal where agents would normally stay. He's staying in there, and they're supervising him, taking him into town to get haircuts, taking him into town to have dinner with his wife. You don't get that in prison. You know what I'm saying? So he wasn't even really at a real prison, and he was allowed to go outside and run the grounds and whatever he was doing. Yeah, of course, they would supervise him. He would be in the same room with guns. Where was that happen in prison? Because it wasn't prison. You know what I'm saying? So, uh, you know, uh, so like I said, fast forward it, he gets busted for what he got busted for. Big slap in the face of the government. It was straight comedy, on them making such a deal with a guy like that. And then, you give him a restart on life, and what does he do? And that's what he did. So they end up changing that, where you can't just pick and choose on what you want to say and give up, and tell on. So when he says, "Oh, I told on 38 guys, but I could have told on 338 guys," like why even say that, dude? You act like you're really making some real, you're justifying the shit out of it. You still did what you did. You put away 38 guys. You told on your boss. You told on another person in the administration. You told on a couple other bosses from other families. You testified against them, and not to mention you put away about four. I'm not sure exactly the number, but 4 or 5, 6 captains of your own family and soldiers and associates. You know what I mean? So he ain't got nothing to stand on. When he tries to justify his actions and what he did, in that type of manner. Oh, I put away 338. I could have put away 338. Like, who gives a fuck, right? And then all that shit about being a hang around guy and a fucking umbrella holder and this and that. That's all crock of shit, man. Dude wouldn't have been in the position he was in if that was the case, and he wouldn't have been in a position to even assist the government the way he did. You know what I'm saying? Now, like I said, I always say I don't agree with what some of these guys do. Most of these guys do. At the end of the day, is some of their situations fucked up? Yes. Is it really fucked up? Yes. But at the end of the day, when you take that type of oath, it doesn't matter what happens to you. You're never supposed to do that. That's just the way. At the bottom line, and like I always say, if you didn't know that, you can't say, "Well, I didn't know those type of things go on." Bullshit, because you've seen it as an associate before you even get put on the team. You've seen it already, and if you say you didn't, you're a liar, or you're just that gullible and naive. Which I don't see anybody being that gullible and naive. So it's just poor me when it comes to that. When your number gets called, basically. Um, and that's just the way it goes, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and tap on this out on this. I hope you guys understand where I was coming from on this video and trying to clarify some things. Oh, and this is another one that I keep hearing too. I mean, at the end of the day, it still means the same thing, but there's a difference between a cooperator and an informant. Okay, an informant is somebody that's feeding law enforcement information as they're out there on the street acting like they're a criminal or doing participating in criminal activities to save their own ass. They're giving up information as they're doing whatever. They're meeting up with agents, giving them information. If they're wearing wires, they're giving them whatever they recorded. They're calling them on phone calls or whatever it might be. A cooperator is somebody that got locked up and then eventually decides to cooperate with them and give up whatever they know or whatever they want, whatever they're asking them, they give them whatever they want to know. It's a big difference, but at the end of the day, it still equals rat. You know what I'm saying? But I keep hearing these guys being called an informant, FBI informant, Gravano, FBI informant, this one, FBI informant, that one. That's not the same. Now, Joe Massino was an informant, right? He was an informant, and then he became a cooperator, because he was wearing a wire while he was locked up. So he was informing on people while he was locked up, and again, like I said, some guys get put in fucked up positions, yeah, such as Dominic Sicali. Baciano tells Fat Joe, or not Fat Joe, Big Joe Messino, oh yeah, so and so did it, when he shouldn't even said any of that. Regardless if the boss is asking you or not, uh, you're not supposed to speak about none of that once it's done, because at the end of the day, there's no statute of limitation on that, so at that point, there's probably no statute of limitation on anything when those questions are being asked about crimes, right? Because I don't know exactly what all the statutes are, but I know some of it's 5 years, some is 7 years, some is 10 years. But we do know definitely murder is no statute of limitation. So when something's asked like that, Baciano should have never said anything. Never, especially not a name. He should have never said, "Oh, Dom took care of it," Sakali took care of it, or whatever. So I understand his bone that he had to pick about that. But at the end of the day, you took a blood oath, and so it's it is what it is. But then on the flip side of it, you look at like, well, now these guys got a second chance at life, and they're doing what they're doing. But then you got those such as Gravano that they end up getting in trouble afterwards. So I guess it's just to how people feel about this, each and everyone's uh case by case basis, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I don't agree with what they did. They'll have to answer for shit if people come after them. They'll have to deal with that then, but at the same time, you know, um some of these guys got a message they're putting out there, and as long as they stick with the message, man, and they don't start making ridiculous comments like, that I've heard in the past where I had to say, you know what, I supported, speaking out to the kids and youngsters about making mistakes and things like that. But then when certain things are said, I can't support that. And there's some people out there that they couldn't understand what I meant by that and why I made the move I made. And I don't give a fuck. It's not really for you to understand. I don't answer to you or anybody else at the end of the day. So, um, that's just for anybody out there. Don't come questioning me about nothing because at the end of the day, you're nobody for me to be answering to. I don't have to explain myself to nobody. You know what I'm saying? Especially not some clowns on YouTube that either if you show your face or you don't show your face. You don't know me in person. You don't know my struggle. You don't know what I'm striving to become. As far as what I mean by that is I'm definitely trying to change my ways on things, and I haven't changed everything yet, but I'm working on it. I made a big change in the meantime, you know what I'm saying? So therefore I don't need to answer to anybody. You know what I'm saying? I mean, well, I mean on here. I don't have to answer to nobody on here. And that's all I gotta say on that. But as long as the message is being, stuck to, then I'm with it. But as soon as that message goes this way or goes backwards or anything like that, and it sounds some ridiculous stuff comes out about like anything, I'll no longer be supporting that. That's for sure. You know what I mean? And that's how that goes. So with that being said, YouTube Big Lou, gonna tap on out.